Hey, horror fans, once again, it's the Horror Miser Monty G, and today I'm going to continue my Saw series with Saw 2. Now, with the success of the first Saw, Lionsgate immediately greenlit the sequel. Hey, look, when you have a hit, you go for it. Now, at the time, both the creators of Saw, Lynn Wayham and James Wan, they were busy working on another movie, so they really didn't have time to write or direct this sequel. So a friend of theirs by the name of, what's his name again? Come to me. Give me a second. Daryl Lynn Balsam. Now, at the time, Balsam was writing a script called The Desperate before Saw got released. And he was looking for a producer, but many movie studios rejected it. Eventually, he showed it to his partners, Mark Berg and Orrin Knowles. I got the name right. It was decided that with some changes, that it could be made into the Saw sequel. When Al became available to provide rewrites for the script, the movie was given a bigger budget, and they shot it between May and June of 2005 up in Toronto. Of course, Saw was released on Halloween, near Halloween on October 2005, and despite some mixed reviews from critics, it was a financial success. Its opening day racked in $31.9 million and it grossed $88 in North America. And it remains the highest grossing Saw film in this part of the world, in North America. It was nominated. Tobin Bell was nominated Best Villain for the 2006 TV Movie Awards as his role in Jigsaw. By the time it got released to DVD back in February 2006, it topped the charts the first week, selling more than 300 units. And at the time, it was the fastest selling theatrical DVD in Lionsgate's history. And of course, it was followed by Saw 3 the next year. Now, I think for myself, particularly, I think Saw 2 is the best of the Saw movies. It has really gets more in depth into John Kramer's character. We get a little of his backstory, not full of it. We get some of his backstory. We get some of his motivations as why is he doing this? Why is he putting people in these really crazy traps? What what's his motivation and why he's trying to get people to change their lives? And that's basically one of the bases of Saw 2. And of course, we see this film also stars, Tobin Bell as John Kramer Jigsaw. We also have Donnie Wahlberg, Frankie G, Glenn Plover, Beverly Mitchell, Diane Mayer, Evanuel Vaughner, and of course Shawnee Smith on the first Saw. First Saw. And that's basically how Saw 2 became about. That's who stars in it. And let's get right into the great part of Saw. Now, Saw 2 opens up. We see this douchebag. He's in this real dingy, rundown building, and he's got this type of mask around his collar. It's got some type of collar with a mask in front of it. And he wakes up and he sees the TV, and we have Billy the Puppet on. As I was saying, he's some type of douchebag. He's in this dilapidated building, and he wakes up and he has this mask around his neck. And obviously, when the TV comes on, we see Billy the Puppet, and in the voice of Great Jigsaw's voice, he plays the tape, and this is what Jigsaw says to him. Hello, Michael. I want to play a game. So far in what you loosely call your life, you made a living on watching others. Society will call you informant, a rat, a snitch. I will call you unworthy of the body you possess, of the life that you've been given. Now we'll see if you're willing to look inward rather than outward, to give up the one thing that you rely on in order to go on living. The device around your neck is a death mask. The mask has a spring timer. If you do not locate the key in time, the mask will close. Think of it as a Venus flytrap. What you're looking at right now is your own body, not more than 2 hours ago. Don't worry, you're sound asleep and can't feel a thing. Take into account that you are at a great disadvantage here. I'm going to give you a hint as to where I've hidden the key, so listen carefully. The hint is this. It's right before your eyes. How much blood are you willing to shed, Michael, to stay alive? Live or die. Make your choice. And it was Great. I loved it. We come to find out that this guy is some type of CI for Donnie Wahlberg's character, who we'll see later on. And obviously, the guy freaks out. He can't figure out what's going on. Obviously, what he has to do is he has to actually peel behind his, takes the scalpel. He has to take the scalpel, peel behind his eye, probably literally take out his eye in order to get the key, in order to unhinge the death mask. Otherwise, the mask will close up, and you can see all the nails in it from the back and the front and behind. The mask will close up, and he eventually will die. Now, the guy freaks out. Unfortunately, once he stands up and the spring, he releases the spring mechanism in the back of the mask, and of course the timer goes off. Now he has I think a minute in order to get this done, and unfortunately he does not succeed. The mask closes, and he is dead as a doorknob. He really like smash, really bloody, and the blood comes out, and then we get the opening credits for Saw 2. The next thing we see is we see Detective Allison Carey. She brings in her. She actually sees a message on top when they're at the scene of the CI's death scene, is a crime scene. So he brings in her former partner and lover, Eric Matthews, and calls him in. Now, basically, they have an argument. He recognizes that it's one of his CIs and he's dead. And I guess Matthew doesn't know, but then he points him up and realizes that the message is meant for him. Later on, we see that we learn that Eric Matthews is going through a bitter divorce and he's estranged from his son Daniel. He eventually reluctantly joins Carey and Sergeant Rigg into reaching the factory because the lock on Marx's trap gives him the location, the building location where the trap was created from, and they all go in and storm the place, and that's where we find John Kramer, the Jigsaw Killer. He's at this place, and we see a whole bunch of mechanisms and former traps all lying all over the place. We also see some blankets hidden in the area. We don't know what that is at the time. And of course, we see John Kramer there, who's weak from his cancer, and he's got computer monitors all over the place. We don't know what it is yet. And this is where the real fun begins. Now, Jigsaw, John Kramer, he raises his hand. He's still, like I said, he's a cancer patient. He's weak from his cancer. He's has an oxygen mask where he breathes in. Looks like he, obviously, he knows that he is more than dying from cancer, and he knows that he's a dead man. He eventually tells Eric Matthews to take a look at the computers over there, and once he pulls up the sheets, we see 8 people all surrounded in the room, and once we find out that one of those people is Detective Matthews' son, Daniel. We also see other people in the whatchamacallit where we see a businessman named Gus, a gangster, Sonia Singer, Laura Hunter, a drug dealer named Xavier Sanchez, a prostitute named Addison, and of course Daniel. Now, of course, Jigsaw has a tape, and we also find out that Amanda from the first film, she's there as well. They're fooling around because what happens is that the TV images goes into an actual film, and we see everyone mumbling around. They don't know where they are and how they got there. We all know that for some reason they don't know where they are. They don't know how they got there. But they all know that there's something. Also, there's an arsonist named Obi is there. Well, I think they are, let me see, I think there are 8 people. Yeah, 8 people trapped in a house. We have the arsonist Obi. We have Amanda Young. We have Gus. We have a gangster named Jonas, a drug dealer named Xavier, a prostitute named Addison, and Daniel. So those are the 8 people in this house. We don't know where the house is. We have no clue where they're at. But things are going to get very interesting very soon. Now, of course, when Eric sees that his son is there, he goes ballistic and starts cursing out Jigsaw. And Jigsaw said, "I want to play a game. The rules are simple. All you have to do is sit here and talk to me. Listen to me." He basically puts down a walkie-talkie on the floor as to find out what's going on. And Jigsaw also tells him that your son is in a safe place and in a secure state. Keep in mind, those words will remain very poetic later on in the film. That the fact that, one, he's in a safe place and he's in a secure state. as far as what the rules are, that he simply has to sit down and talk to Jigsaw and listen to what he has to say. That's Eric's test, because he's also not only testing the 8 people in that room, but he's also testing Eric as well. Now, one of the things I really liked about Saw 2 is the interaction between Jigsaw, John Kramer, and Eric Matthews. Both Tobin Bell and Donnie Wahlberg are very good at their roles right here. We see Jigsaw, whether or not he's being manipulative or not, he just talks very candid about Eric Matthews, because obviously he knows things about Eric Matthews that Eric Matthews doesn't even know about himself. You can see the frustration and the rage building in Eric Matthews for a man who's obviously doesn't want to lose his son, and finding out that his son could die if he doesn't play with Jigsaw games. But you can see that he does not have the patience about what's happening, what's going on. And so I thought the interaction between those two are very good, and that's what really drives this film. Meanwhile, when Amanda awakens and back in this unknown room, when Amanda awakens and she starts fumbling about, and Jonas starts telling her something that she believes that she knows what's going on, and she actually finds the tape and plays the tape. And this is what Jigsaw says to everybody in the room. Greetings and welcome. I trust you're all wondering where you are. I can assure you that your location is not important, but what these walls offer you is important. Salvation, if you can earn it. 3 hours from now, the door of this house will open. Unfortunately, you only have 2 hours to live. Right now, you're breathing a very deadly nerve agent. You'll be breathing it since you arrived here. For those of you familiar with the Tokyo subway attacks, you will know the devastating effects on the human body. The only way to overcome it and walk out that door is to find an antidote. Several are hidden around this house. One is inside the safe in front of you. You all possess the combination to the safe. Think hard. The numbers are in the back of your mind. The clue to the order that can be found over the rainbow. Once you realize what you all have in common, you will gain a better understanding while you're here. X marks the spot for that clue, so look carefully and let the games begin. Now, he leaves some subtle hits in that tape. That's what made it so great, because later on, when you realize some of the clues that he left on there and what they all have in common, and that's what made this really great. And that's what we call the nerve agent test, is that these people have to find out what they all have in common. They have to get the antidote, because even though it will take 3 hours for the doors to open where they're at, they only have 2 hours to live. They have some type of nerve agent gas that was used in the Tokyo attacks, and the effects on the human body are very devastating. So I thought that was very clever about how Jigsaw uses certain words, certain clues in his description in order for them to figure out what they have in common, where the X marks the spot at, and the clues are in the back of their mind over the rainbow. Now, everyone's still fussing about. We find out that Jonas and Xavier have been in jail. It seems like another one, Emmanuel's character. She's also been in jail. She's a prostitute. We have what's that other guy's character? I think Beverly looks like she was arrested for a DWI, and I think Gus was also arrested for a DWI. And like I said, Obi is an arsonist. So all of them. One thing we do find out that they have in common, that they all been in prison. That's the one thing we do know have in common. And they eventually find this key and a note attached to it. And Xavier reads the note saying, "Do not use this key to open that door," with the keyhole in front of it. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this right. The first thing that you never want to do is peek through a keyhole. You never know what's on the other side on it. And this dumbass guy is going to peek through this keyhole, and Xavier puts the key into the slot, turns it, and next thing you know, bam! Guy's head blows up. It was awesome. I love that scene. Almost reminded me of the scene in Scanners where the guy's heads explode. But the guy's head blows up, and he did say you have to follow the rules, and that's when Amanda said that you have to follow the rules, because she tells him that I played before. And so she lets him know that this guy's name is Jigsaw. You have to follow the rules. That's why you're supposed to not do the stuff he tells you not to do. It says do not use in the envelope because it says do not use this key to open the door. And unfortunately they did. They didn't really follow the rules, and of course Gus is dead. So we're down one person. They eventually find out later on that Obi was the one that abducted them and put them in the situation that they are right now. And unfortunately, that doesn't bode well for our arsonist friend Dobie. They eventually get out of the room that they were in, and they go down the basement where they see this furnace, and they see an antidote there. So they force Obi to go into this furnace thing and to get the antidote right now. But unfortunately, this is Obi's test. So when Obi goes into the furnace, he sees a tape, and this is what Jigsaw says to him. Hello, Obi. I want to play a game. For years you burned those around you with your lies, cons, and deceits. Now you have to redeem yourself for the games you played on others by playing one of mine. Inside the device in front of you are two antidotes for the poison cruising through your veins. One is my gift to you for helping me kidnap the others. The second is yours to donate. However, one of them will come with a price. Remember, Obi, once you're in hell, only the devil can help you out. Live or die. Make your choice. So, a lot of people are pissed off because now they realize, like I said before, Obi was the one who had helped them, and now Jigsaw says, "One's my gift for you for helping me kidnap the others." So they force him into the furnace. Fortunately, things don't go very well. Doesn't go anywhere, and unfortunately, he inadvertently activates the trap, and he's burned alive before the others can save him, and also destroys both the antidotes. So, unfortunately, not only did he get the antidote to save himself, he didn't get the antidote to save another person. And I can tell you right now, one of the worst things to go out is probably being burnt alive. Very painful. I would not want that to happen to anybody, even my worst enemy. There's no way in the world that you want to see somebody burnt alive. And that was a very terrible scene. I felt sorry for the guy, but hey, look, he unfortunately is kind of like karma because he was an arsonist. So I can understand Jigsaw's trap for him. That he had to pay in order to pay the price. In order to do what you do, you might have to pay the devil. When you play with fire, you might have to pay the price for the devil. So unfortunately, Obi failed his test. So we're down two people now. Now Xavier, he's really pissed off right now. He seems to be the alpha male of the group as he forces people in. And we get to the next room where we see this pit full of needles. I mean, this whole pit is full of needles. And I'm saying to myself, that does not look good. A pit full of needles? Nah, I'm not getting in there, but not Xavier. Xavier says, you know what, I'm sick of this. So he throws Amanda into the pit of needles, trying to find the key to get out of the room because the door locked, and they need to find the key to get out of the room. Unfortunately, he throws Amanda into the pit, and unfortunately, Amanda, being a former junkie, probably not the last thing she wants to do is being a pit full of needles. Now, as I stated before, the needle pit trap was actually for Xavier because he hears the tape, and this is what Jigsaw says to him. Hello, Xavier. I want to play a game. The game I want to play is very similar to the one you've been playing as a drug dealer. The game of offering hope to be desperate for a price. I think we can agree that your situation is desperate, so I'll offer you some hope. The price you have to pay is that you must crawl through the same squalor you force your customers into. By entering this room, a timer has started. When the timer expires, the door in front of you will be locked forever. Only in finding the key before the timer runs out can you unlock and retrieve the antidote inside. I'll give you just one hint where the key is. It'd be like finding a needle in a haystack. Let the games begin. Live or die. Make your choice. But as I stated before, Xavier is not stupid. He's not going to jump into a pit full of needles. He's going to let Amanda do it. And Amanda really does her best, and she gets stabbed and stabbed and stabbed with a whole bunch of needles, but she eventually finds the key, and they get out of the room before the timer expires. But it was a great scene right there because I really truly loved that scene. To see all those needles, we know Amanda is a recovering addict, and the last thing she needs to do is to have those dirty needles taken to her because we don't know where those needles have been, how dirty they are, if they're full of bacteria, there could be infections on it. But really give Amanda credit for doing what she had to do in order to get that key. But the test was for Xavier. No, he was supposed to want to do it, but I'm the boss, as he says. I'm not getting in there. So he got somebody else to do it for him. Now, keep in mind, they're still trying to figure out what they all have in common. And like they said, they all figure out that they all been in jail before, except for one sole exception, that's Daniel. He's the one who's not been arrested before, and they figure out that way. Uh, Meanwhile, both Kramer and Eric are eventually still trying to chat, and he eventually telling Eric that this survival is that his survival of a suicide attempt after his diagnosis from cancer that he tried to kill himself, and when that didn't and that failed, it gave him a true reason for his games. With the little time that's left with him, he wants to inspire others with a new appreciation of life that he has found. He felt, hey, look, if I was able to survive a car crash when I tried to kill myself, and I was able to live, then other people might find the same salvation if I test them in the same way that they're ruining their lives. They might have a new foundation of life, and that's what he believes what these tests can do for these people. But unfortunately, Eric is not really interested in any of this. He is running out of patience, and he returns to the monitors. He really is not really interested. All he wants to do is to find his son. And again, ignoring the rules of the game is that all he had to do is sit down and listen and speak to Jigsaw. And again, he said that his son is in a safe, secure place. But unfortunately, um, Eric is running out of patience. We eventually find out. Um, you eventually find out that Eric had framed all those people in the room for the crime that they have. And that's the connection between all the whatchamacallit is that, one, Eric knows all of them. He arrested all of them because he framed them. Now, God forbid if they find out who they are connected to and they also find out that Daniel is his son is in grave danger. And that's really the test that Jigsaw has put in front of Eric. Now, while all this conversation between John Kramer and Eric Manfus is going on, the tech team has arrived and they're trying to find out the source where the signal is coming from. Unfortunately, by the time that fails, Eric is really starting to lose patience, and lose patience, and he looks back at the screen, looking where his son is at. Now, they eventually return back to the. Now, what's going on back in the room is that Xavier returns to the safe room and finds a colored number on the back of Gus's neck. He realizes now that the one of the clues over the rainbow means the colors in the rainbow, and it's on the back of their necks. That's the clue. So when he finds out that that's how he can get the combination to the safe to get the antidote, he eventually kills Jonas with a spike bat for his number. For the in the back of the head, really killed Jonas, which I really thought was a very gruesome kill. I mean, he really just clubbed him right in the back of the head, and Jonas never saw it coming. And you can see that he's really surprised that he killed him, and he gets his number. And now, since Xavier knows one of the clues, he begins hunting the others. Obviously, going to kill the rest of them because, again, he's the alpha male and he's going to survive at the hell of everybody else. Unfortunately, Laura begins succumbing to the nerve agent and then finding the clue revealing Daniel's identity. The X marks the spot was an X on a picture on the wall, and she realizes that Daniel is the son of the cop that framed her. But unfortunately, before she can inform the others, she succumbs to the nerve agent and she dies. So now we got two people. I think there's four people. Yeah, 4 people have died now. Addison and Amanda abandoned him, but Amanda returned. But they abandoned Daniel. After finding out who he really was, they abandoned him. But Amanda returns after finding Jonas's body. Addison, she finds a glass box. She's the prostitute. That's Emmanuel Varga's character. She finds a glass box with an antidote. But unfortunately, her arms become trapped in the armholes, which are lined with hidden blades. And unfortunately, she dies from bleeding to death. And Xavier gets her number. And we only have 3 people left now. We have 5 people dead. We have Emmanuel, Daniel, and Xavier. Now, Emmanuel and Daniel, they start to run into a tunnel into the safe room, which leads into the dilapidated bathroom with 2 rotting corpses. Now, of course, we all know this is from the first Saw. They eventually run all the way down to the steps, and we see the 2 rotting corpses. One is Zepp from the first Saw. The other is, I forget Lee Wang's character. Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. That's who the 2 rotting corpses are. Daniel collapses just inside when Xavier finds him. Amanda notes that he can't read his own number. So, in a very brutal scene, and with the Saw music going behind, he eventually takes the knife that he has and cuts the skin from the back of his head in order to get his number. And very nice scene right there that he really screams at heart. So now he has his number. Unfortunately, Daniel friends his collapse, jumps up and slashes his neck with a hacksaw, killing Xavier. So now we have 6 people dead, and the only 2 people are alive are Daniel and Amanda. Interesting. Wonder why that's happening. Now, because all this is happening, Matthews loses it. He brutally assaults Jigsaw Kramer and forces him to lead him out of the house. The whole area that John is sitting in is actually revealed to be a lift, which they use to leave the factory that they're in. The tech team tracks the video sources, and Riggs leads his SWAT team to the house, where twist 1. No, nothing's there. It's all VCRs and DVD players, meaning that the events that they saw on the cameras have already happened. Twist 1. Oh my God. Total shock. The whole audience when I first saw this in the movies. Like, wow. That was great. I loved it. I mean, everyone never expected that. And that's why I love this movie, because you did not expect it. You thought that was happening in real time, but it wasn't. It was all tape recorded. And that's where the signal comes in. That's twist number 1. But we got more twists happening. Jigsaw eventually gets Matthews to drive him to where he believes his son is located at. And eventually he starts screaming for Daniel's name. By the time Daniel gets to the place where he's at, there's nobody there. No one sees. It's all dark. We don't know what's happening. And next thing we know, somebody in a pig mask comes up, and I think they he gets stabbed or with a stun gun or something. I don't know what to say. I think it was a stun gun. Unfortunately, at the same time, when we realize is that it was a tape recording, a safe opens up on where the lift was, and there's Eric, safe and sound with an oxygen mask. Just like Jigsaw said that he's in a safe and secure place. Like I said earlier, Jigsaw words mean something. That's why you have to pay attention to the rules. We eventually see that when he awakens, Eric awakens, he finds out that he's shackled to a pipe the same way that Dr. Lawrence and the other guy were shackled to the whatchamacallit. And then we have a tape recorder left by Amanda. Amanda? What's happening? What's going on? Why are we hearing Amanda's voice on a tape recorder? Well, we're about to find out why. So when Eric plays the tape that Amanda left for him, she says this. She says, "Hello, Eric. You probably don't remember me, but you changed my life once. You sent me to prison. I was guilty of a lot of things, but not for the drug charge you framed me for. They like you framed another person. You wouldn't know the things you lose when you're locked away. The second time somebody changed my life, I was guilty, but my life was saved that day. I find myself a father, a leader, a teacher. What is the cure for cancer, Eric? What is the cure for death itself? The answer is immortality. By creating a legacy, by living a life worth remembering, you become immortal. So we will. So now we find that the tables are turned. It is I who will carry on John's work after he dies, and you are my first test subject. You are now locked away, hopeless and alone. Oh God! Mind blown! Amanda has become, after surviving a Jigsaw's test in the first Saw, she now finds John Kramer as a father figure, a teacher, a mentor, and she's going to take on John's legacy after he dies because she believes that if she carries on John's work, his message will be immortal. And Eric Matthews, is his first test case. And while this is all going on, we get the will become the most famous in all the Saw series. We see everything coming into play. We see all the clues that were left off while the music is playing in the background, and we get the most famous line that becomes so famous in the Saw movies when Eric is screaming for his son's Daniel's name, and Amanda says "Game over" and shuts the door. And that's the end of Saw 2. When I first saw Saw 2 in the movies, I was very impressed by the movie. Like I said, Saw 2, I believe, is one of the best of the Saw series. A lot of twists we didn't see coming, a lot of clues left behind, acted very well by Tobin Bell, Donnie Wahlberg, and Shawnee Smith. I mean, Frankie G, Glenn Plummer, everyone does their job very well in this story. Very well written story, very violent deaths. Traps were great. Love the traps. Of course, love the keyhole trap. I love the needle trap. That was good. The needle trap, I believe, was the best one. Obviously, the death mask trap was also good as well. Everyone played their roles very well. We will see Diane Mayer's character. She's still going to continue. Sergeant Riggs, he'll also be continue on in the Saw series. We'll find out about those later. But this was a very excellent movie. I really love Saw 2. Again, I said that's one of the best of the Saws. So, what did you think about Saw 2? Did you love it? Did you think this is one of the best Saws? What is your favorite Saw of the Saw franchise? And comment below and let me know. What do you think about, do you think that this film really elevated the Saw franchise and that's the reason why we continue to get Saw movies, especially after this one? Comment below and let me know. We'll talk about it. Okay, well, that's my video for Saw 2 from my Saw series. I hope you guys are enjoying this series as we go throughout all the Saw films leading up until Jigsaw. And then after that, I will rank all the Saw films. I'm pretty sure you guys will probably believe that Saw 2 will be my number one in the Saw films, but we'll see what happens when I actually do rank them, because there are some other Saws that I like more or less than either the first Saw or Saw 2, but we will find out once I rank them all. But I'll try my best to get Saw 3 up before the end of the week. So, if this is your first time here, please like, subscribe, and share, so that way you become part of the horror family. And like I said, all my social media links will be in the description below. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Meister Monty G. And always remember that horror rules. And if it's Halloween, it must be Saw.